Senator Chuck Schumer and Representative Carolyn McCarthy are sponsors of bills in Congress designed to close the private seller exemption under the Brady Act. Senate Bill 436 and a companion House bill have been introduced in Congress to fix Gun Checks Act that would require background checks for all gun sales, including those sold online by private sellers. The U.S. Constitution governs all laws passed by Congress. This means that the U.S. Supreme Court will ultimately decide any challenges to SB 436 under the Second Amendment. When Congress passed the Brady Act in 1993, background checks became necessary for folks buying guns from federally licensed gun dealers, but not from private sellers. John Hinckley, who almost killed President Reagan in March of 1981, shot President Reagan's press secretary, Jim Brady, in the head. Brady was left partially paralyzed, and his wife, Sarah Brady, became a fighter to protect other Americans from senseless gun attacks like the one that almost took her husband's life. Sarah Brady evolved into a primary advocate in opposition to the NRA when Congress finally passed the Brady Act. The private seller exemption under Brady was thought to be for gun hobbyists. Today, almost 19 years later, the Internet has turned the hobbyist exemption under Brady into a superhighway for gun trafficking. When the Brady Act was passed and signed into law by former President Bill Clinton, Internet merchandise sales barely existed. The U.S. Department of Justice estimates 30 to 40% of gun sales run through the Brady Act exemption. Online gun sales have skyrocketed, and since they are not regulated, one can only guess the number of guns sold each year. On December 17, 2011, the Daily Beast published an article by Josh Kaziza, More Cops Shot as Felons Buy Illegal Guns Online. It reported that the first 6 months of 2011 was the most deadly period in 20 years for police officers. The Daily Beast reported that more than 61 officers were shot dead in the line of duty in 2011. During the first week of December, New York City police officer Peter Fegoski was killed in the line of duty in Brooklyn. The suspect, Lamont Pride, is a known felon. 3 days after the tragic death of Officer Peter Fegoski, Mayor Bloomberg announced the results of a sting operation. That sting operation showed that undercover officers were shockingly successful when buying guns from private sellers, according to the Daily Beast. Other such sting operations have yielded similar results. Notably, an NBC investigation by Jeff Rosen demonstrated beyond a doubt that individuals who would not pass a background check could easily purchase guns online. In January 2005, a CBS News 60-minute segment caused considerable controversy when it reported dangers that terrorists present to America's national security because of their ability to purchase online and without restrictions 50 caliber anti-armor rifles that can blast through armor, set bulk fuel storage tanks on fire, breach chemical storage tanks, shoot down helicopters or airplanes in flight at low altitudes, and destroy fully loaded jetliners on the ground, all from more than a mile away by a trained sniper. These were the dots that they connected. The National Firearms Act, NFA, was passed by Congress in 1934 to regulate gangster weapons. NFA controlled the purchase of machine guns, sawed-off shotguns, and hand grenades, but not 50 caliber rifles. Under current law, there is no restriction against the purchase of these guns over the internet. Mayors Against Illegal Guns are lobbying for passage of the Fix Gun Check Act. They are joined by law enforcement organizations including the International Association of Chiefs of Police, Major Cities Chiefs Association, and the Police Foundation. Mayor Bloomberg has become a leader in the fight for passage of Fix Gun Check Act since he has witnessed the funerals of men in blue shot dead in the line of duty on the streets of New York City. The International Association of Chiefs of Police not only supports the Fix Gun Act, but also the reinstatement of the ban on assault weapons, which expired in 2004. President Obama, as a candidate in 2008, pledged to push for the reinstatement of the assault weapon ban, but has quietly backed away from it. Currently, the only gun bill moving through Congress is H.R. 822, that would make a concealed weapon permit valid in any state, including New York and California, if the person who owns the gun is from a state which permits one to carry concealed weapons. This means that any individual from such a state could carry his or her concealed weapon legally anywhere in the U.S. if the Senate passes H.R. 822 and the bill is signed by the President. In December of 2011, Mayor Bloomberg stated in a press conference, There is basically one organization that's behind continuing chaos in this country. It's the NRA. The NRA contributed millions of dollars to elected officials directly and indirectly. The Daily Beast reported that the NRA spent more than $7.2 million in 2010 alone. The NRA fought a long and bitter battle over the passage of the Brady Act. The NRA initiated a second bruising but losing battle by filing legal actions in various states in an effort to have the Brady Act declared unconstitutional by the U.S. Supreme Court. Mayor Bloomberg may be half right in pointing the finger at the NRA for its opposition to the passage of the Fixed Gun Act. However, some of the credit may rightfully belong to the real 800-pound gorilla standing guard over the gate to the superhighway to gun sales online in America. Since 2007, the Freedom Group has purchased icons of the gun industry and is now the envy of this business sector nationwide. The Freedom Group sold 1.2 million guns in a period of 12 months ending March of 2010, according to the New York Times story entitled, How Freedom Group Became a Big Shot. Freedom owns Remington, Bushmaster, DPMS, Marlin's Firearms, Harrington & Richardson, L.C. Smith, and Dakota Arms. It also owns Advanced Armaments Corporation, the maker of silencers, and Barnes Bullets, the maker of copper jacket bullets with precision shooters. The real power behind Freedom Group is Cerberus Capital Management, the successful hedge fund that controlled Chrysler until 2009. Chrysler went bankrupt but was bailed out with more than $12.5 billion of taxpayers' money by the Obama administration car czar, Steve Rattner. The bailout enabled Cerberus, Chrysler's primary investor, to recoup what would have otherwise been significant losses. On May 25, 2011, Bloomberg.com reported that Rattner had a net worth of at least $188 million and held shares in an investment fund run by the majority owner of Chrysler LLC, Cerberus Capital Management. Top management of Cerberus has made meaningful political contributions to members of Congress based upon public campaign contribution reports. Cerberus has aligned itself with former top elected and appointed officials, including well-respected former top Pentagon brass. Cerberus is not only selling millions of guns in America through Freedom Group, as reported by the New York Times, but has also been awarded significant military contracts, including a contract to supply the Afghan National Army with sniper rifles, the Pentagon with other guns, and the U.S. military with other weapons. As a citizen, it is your right and responsibility to chart the path of America's future and shape the environment we seek for our children. Elected Face urges everyone to share their voice and vote in our poll and sign our petition. Upon completion, Elected Face will deliver the petition to Congress and publish the results in a press release. If you are concerned about online gun purchases or about the threat to your constitutional right to bear arms and Senate Bill 436, go to Elected Face now and sign the petition to either support or oppose the passage of Senate Bill 436.